And welcome to this edition of Brevard News, the voice of the people. And my name is Kevin Jeffrey, your moderator, and I'm joined by our guest today, which is Keith Edwards, who is the owner of Edwards Construction and Real Estate, Inc., right here in Titusville, Florida. And so we try in this segment to get on people who interact on our platform on Brevard News, and so that they can talk about what's going on in the real world. And so Keith is here, and you got a lot to say, Keith. You've been a construction owner for quite some time. You moved here to Brevard County in the 80s from Lafayette, Indiana.
Yeah, the Hoosier town, yeah.
So were you a Hoosier or a Boilermaker?
Well, the Hoosier is all the state of Indiana.
Okay.
The Boilermakers are from Lafayette.
Were you a Hoosier fan or a Boilermaker fan?
Well, definitely Purdue, Boilermakers.
Did you follow the Hoosiers this year in football?
This year, I hate to say no, I haven't. I've been so busy.
They won the national championship.
Yeah.
Okay, so you missed that one, huh?
Yes,
So
unfortunately.
You've been here since the mid-'80s, and so you've watched a lot of things happen. You were telling me before we went on the air that you had involvement in Frontenac, and you were down in there, and so you've done a lot of business from Port St. John all the way up to Titusville.
Oh, yeah. Over 40 years, I've been dealing with business here in Titusville and Brevard County and keeping Titusville residents employed.
So what is it like being a business owner?
Well, I can tell you the best way. You pay everybody, and sometimes you go home broke.
It's not that easy.
It is not that easy, no. When you got to calculate overheads and so forth like that, and then you've got 3 men in a truck or 2 men in a truck, unlicensed activity, and then you've got that where you've got to bid against people unlicensed. It's very difficult to keep your feet above water here in Titusville.
So you, as a busy businessman, have been busy. You've had some things that have happened. You told me that your wife passed away of 31 years.
Yeah. It was, cancer got her, unfortunately. They told her before she died she had 6 months to live, and she did 17 years. So we had a beautiful marriage, wonderful, adopted one of her cousin's children, made this my home. I love this place.
With you being so busy, what caused you to really delve into what was happening in Titusville?
Well, honestly, for a long time I've known it. I've worked for the city of Titusville as an employee. I worked for the sewer treatment plant as a subcontractor. I've had interactings. I've worked for Brevard County, purchasing. I've done Sandpoint Park, the Quality Inn on 50. I've seen this town go from greatness to a big flub. I've seen our local politicians that really cared about the town rather than the money turn into yes men following a lobbyist. Mm-hmm. And what brought this to me that I finally had to say no more and stand up was you, Kevin, and Brevard News, because I mean, when I watched our mayor cheat his way, in my feelings, into that seat, and then from the theft of our water department, but yet nobody's going after anybody else, that brings a lot of issues to my mind. We've got drive-by shootings going on. We've got kids being shot, but yet no body cams. Mm-hmm. We claim 100% transparency, but the citizens aren't getting that transparency, and it's made me mad. I'm a common man and simple thoughts, but if you break the law, you got to pay the price. And if the mayor and the city manager wants to roll this under and let one guy be an scapegoat, I just can't swallow it, Kevin. And when they want to say, hey, a poster board sign is more important than the citizens' views, when they want to shut down that camera, mm-hmm. and cut the public out and mute them, there's a problem. I have never looked into politics. I've never followed it, but I can't stop but being pulled into it because right now we've got a huge development and it's coming. And if we ain't prepared for it, if we don't direct it, if we let these lobbyists run it and the politicians run it, we're going to have a data center in Royal Oak Colony. This stuff can't happen. We've got a city council that has loaded the boards and put their people in, And that's not the way this is supposed to go. If people that have the knowledge and the education and the background for a job, they should be the ones put into it, not my buddy.
So are you shocked? I mean, before, what was your view before you started seeing this?
My view before was well, this is the way things are. There's got to be a better reason in the background that we just don't know about. But once the brevardNEWS got involved and opened my eyes to what really is going on, that wiped the crap away, then I started to understand exactly what's going on. And I'm outraged. I'm just totally outraged.
But Keith, what they're doing is they're blaming brevardNEWS. They're saying, they're instigating people.
Of course you are. You're telling the truth, man.
Yeah,
and they can't handle the truth. They don't want us to know the truth.
Yeah, the only thing that we try to say is that we're like a mirror. We're just holding up a mirror. We're not doing anything but just showing what's there.
And it's about time the citizens know it. It seriously is. Because look, if we don't take control of our local government, we're going to be in big trouble. An $800 million sewer treatment plant with NASA pumping sewage across the river, a data center being placed around that they're talking $800 million, but we don't even know where they're going to put it. And they're only in the middle of a feasible study. They won't even know what's what until the middle of December.
Let's just kind of dial it back a little bit and go back to the mayor.
Yeah.
Were you shocked that people don't realize the severity or the seriousness of what he did in that election debacle?
Yeah.
Now I'm getting creative. Like as I was sitting here, my wheels are turning.
Yeah. I'm a candidate for mayor, and my signs have been stolen.
Okay. How many signs?
2.
So she took a sign that was endorsing her, or am I mishearing?
It was a sign endorsing her. Yes.
Yeah, the only thing I was thinking that might have gotten me in trouble is, the Democrat Party might be like, you're using our brand without our permission. And she didn't like that, which I kind of knew was going to happen. I tried getting some trail cams installed, but I didn't have time to get those installed. Okay. I will when I do it again tonight. Now I'm getting creative. Like as I was sitting here, my wheels are turning.
Yeah. What's the value of each sign?
$50 each.
Okay.
It just blows my mind. It truly does. And the fact that our police chief was involved in it, to the fact that they framed that woman. I'm sorry, Connors is sitting in a stolen seat. Vicky should be sitting in her seat. That's the way I see it. That man should have had bracelets when he pulled that. And I'm surprised he ain't wearing bracelets now, but the police chief too. But I got to say this, those that have violated the trust of us taxpayers, they need to pay the price. And if I get the city council on the board, I'm not going to stop talking about it. I'm going to keep bringing it up until I find out who did what and who's going to pay for that. And I got a question for our mayor. Have we found that backhoe? Have we found that brand new 2024 truck? Because you know what? I'm still driving an old one.
They're trying to say that was old. Jolene Nelson said that goes way back to the 70s, and most of that stuff is not worth anything anymore. But a lot of that actually was in the last 10 to 15 years.
Okay, well, if it's in the last 10 or 15 years, then if it's in 7, statute of limitations, people go to jail. Now, if it's in the last 20 years, the copper, the odds and ends, they have a city auction every year, or they did, and all that stuff would go to the auction. The money would come in, and it would go back to our government. So when we take copper down the road to ATM and sell it and put the money in our pocket, that's theft. And I would like to report a theft. I'd like to report a theft of all the stolen property, and I know there's got to be some good police officers out there that will get in and investigate this.
What about the 17,000 emails? What happened with that, and how did you see that?
I seen that as the funniest business of them all. Plenty of time to start erasing a few of them that really got them in the hot water. It's the same thing as the body cam footage. We're being put in the dark and fed crap. We might be a mushroom.
So, does any of this surprise you that you have people that are in office that they don't seem to care to do that?
It makes my blood boil. It does. And we all got to come together as brothers and sisters and stop it now. Otherwise, it's just going to go on. And going back and finding out who's doing this stuff, Kevin, we need to do that so that we can say this was our history. This is how they did it. This is how they got away with it. And we can fix it so we have a brighter future. Right now is a pivot point for Titusville. We could go up or we could go down, and I'm fighting to go up.
How do you get there?
How do you get there? You recognize your past, you recognize your faults, and then you move forward to correct them. You know, we're all human. We all make mistakes. But it's what we do after those mistakes that make us. That tells us who we are.
Do you think that the people understand what's going on by and large?
Well, right now you have woke them up. You've woke up a sleeping lion because people are. And people are coming to me and they're asking me questions. And they want to know. I can't go anywhere that somebody's stopping me wanting to know what was the last word and what's going on and what happened to such and such.
So you're thinking about running for city council, maybe?
If I have to, I will run as hard as I can. I honestly will, because I love this town. This town is my town. I've raised my family in it, and I plan on raising another family in it before I die. And when I die, I'm going to be buried next to my daughter on Garden Street. So I care about this town, and I beg the people that follow my feelings to jump aboard and do this.
What about, how do you stop the development? I noticed up in Edgewater, they put a moratorium on the building and they were not scared of the state.
Yeah.
And a lot of your city councils are scared, they're running scared of the state, we're going to be sued by the state.
Yeah.
They rejected that because the people were being flooded.
Right.
What do you think, so if you were on the city council, would you join that lawsuit? Would you be willing to? Or what would you do about some of the problems that are happening, particularly as they come down from the state?
All right. So as they come down to the state, we got to try to follow the state rules. But once again, this is my home, and I'm not going to allow them to put a sewer treatment plant in Royal Oak Colony. And we're not going to stop development. The Space Center has taken off, and it's only going to keep going harder and stronger. But what we can do is we can direct it so that if we have to put something in for the state, it's not in the middle of the city. Typically, if you look at Trails to Rails on US 1 patch there, they spent all that money to move the railroad away from trails and make trails for rails. But if you look at US 1, you got a bike trail right down the highway. So why would you want to take a bike trail when you got rails to trails taking you all the way to Daytona Beach without the traffic? We got to have smart planning, and we don't have able to just give up our rights to let the state say, you're going to put this here.
Do you agree with the charter of the Titusville? So it's a city manager form of government. Is that the best form of government, or would you want there to be a strong mayor form of government?
I like the way the form of government is, but there's checks and balances that are getting pencil whipped and skipped, and we need to make sure they're getting done. It's like if there's an issue with our police department and the city manager can't step in and resolve it, then the mayor needs to find another city manager. And every department needs to be held accountable. That's what they're being paid for that department. We need to break it down. We need right now, with all the funny business going on, we need to demand a forensic audit. No matter what the cost is, our city's blowing money. It don't matter the cost they blow. They can blow on down there at gun range down there for the building, and then say, no, we don't need to do it. I mean, where is the common sense there? I mean, send a realtor down there, and the realtor can say, well, a comparative marketing analysis don't show that this is profitable.
Well, to Joe Lynn's defense, she said, "Oh, it wasn't 150,000. We only spent like 30-something thousand after it was all said and done." But to your point, I mean, they willy-nilly spend money like it's no big deal, and so.
Oh yeah, and then we don't have money to do our things that we need to do. Sandpoint Park, they sold us on this big, beautiful park with all this going on and a swimming area for the kids, and we get a pond that is a mud bath. They take away our poor man's beach and tell us that they're going to give us a nice beach from Knott's McRae down US 1 to 50. None of this ever happened. They said, oh, we need to put plants on Tyco Airport Road. But they don't have no water system out there, so all the money they spend on them fancy plants dies. It's common sense. And we need people with common sense. We don't need no more politicians sitting in them tall chairs. We need people with common sense.
So the first day that you say you ran for city council, one of the first things that you would attack would be what? What would be your first priority?
There's so many of them. Well, the first priority is people answering for their crimes. Mm-hmm. And that would include that I would feel and I would keep fighting for the body cam footage, because people deserve the right to know the truth. And the fact that they're playing games so long, it makes me question their integrity.
So when you have that, and so people are, will say, well, if you question the police, that you're being anti-police. And so, I mean, you've heard that, right?
Oh, yes.
So you
it's a
can't
bad
question
statement.
anything that the police do. You can question, really, you can't question anything that any government official do because they think that you're being disingenuous.
Yes, and we got lobbyists telling them what to do. I've worked very much with the police departments here in Titusville and the sheriff department, Mr. Ivy. And let me tell you what, there are great officers out there. And, I get so upset to know that we have good people in the offices, like the police department, that get overstepped by the corrupt ones. I think Titusville Police Department, I've had a couple interactions with them lately, and I've seen just the finest officers, ones that care, they listen, they're not self-sided, and they try to give a good judgment and do a fair deal of work. So, and then I've seen them that my car gets stolen years ago. I found parts of my car that got ripped off in the back of a guy's tow truck, and I couldn't even get an officer to go and look at the tow truck to see the parts that got ripped off of my car in question. They wouldn't even get out of the car. So, I mean, there's officers, there's good and bad in every line of work. It's the way it is. But we need to analyze that, and we need to promote those that have given their heart.
Keith, thanks for joining us on Voice of the People. And this is Keith Edwards, who is the owner of Edwards Construction and Real Estate, Inc. And so thanks for joining us. It's always good to hear from the people and what's going on from the people's point of view. And that's what we aim to do here on Brevard News. And thank you for joining us for this segment of The Voice of the People. My name is Kevin Jeffrey, your moderator, and we'll see you next time on The Voice of the People.